Though spared from complete collapse, Ridis's home has been thoroughly scorched. Ridis sits alone in one of its rooms, the air thick with the smell of char. There shouldn't be any fire creatures for miles. She says the monster appeared while she was playing the woodland flute. As to why any monsters, let alone fire monsters. Despite the circumstances, you ask Ridis to lead you out of the bewildering wood as promised. I did promise that, didn't I? She says wearily, rising from her seat. The poor girl is clearly still in shock. Why do you want to venture out beyond the bewildering wood anyway? She inquires, as she gathers this and that in preparation to leave. We are in search of the dragon, you say valiantly, adding, the reward will be significant should we defeat him. Honesty is the best policy. Sounds like a real risky way to make a living, she replies flatly, feigning it. A group of Ivory Order people came through here just the other day, You connect the dots with malice. Those three, you seethe. At last, Ridis is ready to depart for the edge of the bewildering wood. Ridis's mother tells you she was once deceived by a crooked merchant and plunged into debt. Ridis has been working to repay the debt ever since. You lightly press your thumb and forefinger to the corner of each eye, a mixture of sadness and anger swirling within you. This road takes you to the east side of the bewildering wood, but you'd be hard-pressed to find your way. Upon seeing that Ridis is with you, he steps aside and lets you through. The eastern portion of the woods certainly does not want for thick, soupy fog. You turn away, ready to lead the party deeper into the bewildering wood. Wait just a moment, you lot, calls the voice of an old... Ridis appears to be familiar with him. She calls him Mr. O. Here you are, young lady, he says, handing her a slip of paper. Oh dear. Further, Mr. O explains, Ridis did not have a fire insurance policy at the time of the conflict. I'll thank you kindly to pay by the end of the month. Bye now, Mr. O says, receding from view as he returns to the... He. Riddis lets out a bemused chuckle, her demeanor remarkably calm for what has just transpired. She pulls the woodland flute from her cloak and begins softly playing. Riddis's ear-splitting performance, shall we say, draws monsters out from behind the trees. Within moments, they are nearly upon you. That's odd. I must have made a mistake, Riddis says, burying her face in her old book once more. She opens the book to a particular page and thrusts it in your face. You can't tell. It's a page of sheet music with a note scrawled beside it that reads, "Play this lucky tune to reverse your financial fortunes and make money woes a thing of the past." No matter how many times I played this last night, our debt never went down, she fumes, incensed. You inspect the page a bit more carefully. Off in a corner, in letters so small as to be illegible, another message reads, "May summon monsters if played." You finally see that so long as Riddis holds the flute, this is nothing more than a monster conjuring melody. You snatch the woodland flute from her hands. "But I'll never escape from this mountain of debt without it," she cries, clearly still believing in the Melanie quietly opines that while Riddis is many things, Bright is not one of them. Fortune favors the bold. You did great. and fight. That was lucky. Nice work. That was lucky. Let's do this. That was lucky. Here, Ritis chirps, pushing overgrown boughs, and as she does, a hidden path out of the bewildering wood comes into view. A bunch of nuts fly off from the trees, but you and your friends hightailed it out of there before any of them could hit you. That was lucky. Good work. At last, you are free of the bewildering wood. She giggles bashful. You've certainly kept your promise, you say. Thank you for showing us the... I was hoping I could join you on your quest to defeat the dragon. Ridis suddenly blurts out. She takes out her old book and thrusts another page in your face. This week's creature of fortune is the dragon. Boons may befall those who encounter. Melanie's jaw goes slack. What is the deal? I can probably pay off my debt if we can just defeat the dragon, British Church. No, I won't dilute my share of the riches any further. No more addition. Have you no heart? Are you just going to leave a young, helpless girl like me to drown in an ocean of debt and deal with that crusty old man? Ridis fires back, relentless. I want to go. No. So goes the endless chorus of your... Melanie calmly reminds you that the party, in its current form, stands little chance of defeating... See? You need me. Your well-reasoned argument of no thwarted. You nod your head in resignation and welcome Ridis to the party. Fortune favors the bold. Let's head to Unionville. You see something approaching from up ahead. A monster, Melanie shouts, readying for battle. Mr. Flobby, get back here. It's dangerous. It seems you've finally arrived at Unionville, a village where... What a weird place, remarks Ridis lightheartedly. We aren't staying a moment longer than necessary, says an unsettled Melanie, her distaste for monsters plain on her face. The woman frowns deeply, claiming the cakes she bought for her beloved furball have all been eaten by someone else. A quiet furball sits with crumbs around its mouth. The child says his monster friend left the village suddenly. He claims the headman told him that he could go home when he grew up too. The little orc child pouts. But I don't know where my home is. Travelers, you hear a voice call. Down here, at thy feet. You look down to see a small clump of... The clump of fur speaks. I am Lappy. Lappy the furball looks at you with amiable expectations. Why do you want to join us? You ask. I heard a voice calling my name, so I must find to whom it belongs. He answers with a No more monsters, comes Melanie's cold reply. When you say more, do you mean Mar? You ask. But Melanie, thoroughly rejected by Melanie, Lappy bursts into... Lappy says he has no friends because of his aged face and speech. Your party is silenced by the crying child with the... You tell Melanie to be nice and quip that both she and Lappy could use a friend. Exhausted from arguing with you, Melanie half-heartedly agrees. However, she says that they are on a dangerous journey to defeat the dragon. Lappy leaps up and hugs her in his excitement, exclaiming, "Thou hast made me so happy." Till next time, Melanie says. Though she thought all monsters to be evil, Melanie feels that the one... Finally, a friend. You bow, but before you can speak, the man suddenly... He laughs, then shamelessly praises his own village as being wondrous and peaceful. "And who are you?" he asks. After explaining that you are on a quest to defeat the dragon, the headman invites you. He says that he had heard rumors of the dragon when he traveled the world. You must be tired from your journey. Have a seat. I will have my chef prepare a feast, the headman says, then claps his hands twice to summon a stewardess. Extravagant dishes that you have never seen before are... You're drooling, Melanie scowls. You wipe your mouth with your sleeve, then gasp as you turn to Mar. Perhaps in an attempt to hold himself back, Mar is gnawing on the table corner. There, we'll eat soon, you reassure Mar while gently stroke. The doors fly open in the next instant, and a girl runs. With tears in her eyes, she tells you that her dear companion, Mr. Flobby the Slime, is missing. The headman's eyes go wide in surprise. We must find that slime. You are starving, but it doesn't look like you'll be able to partake of the feast before you because of Mr. Flobby's disappearance. We will find your slime. And then, Melanie reminds you that you are here to get clues about the dragon from the... What's the difference? Literally everything. Hunger, brave heroes, the headman interjects. Then, bow. It appears the story has hit a standstill. You need to hear the whole story from the young girl. It seems like the girl who left the headman's house ran. The elderly man says she cannot have gone far. The little goblin sulks as he gazes upon the withering flower. He looks at you with tears in his eyes, silently begging you for help. You pour the salve onto the flowers, and they stand up tall. The goblin cries out, and he then holds something out to you. The goblin stares lovingly at the beautiful flowers and gobbles them up. Healthy flowers are the tastiest, he proclaims in glee. Did he grow those flowers just to eat them? A young boy wanders up to your group in wide-eyed. You realize you are right when he assails you with questions about your origins and adventures. The Inquisition leaves you exhausted. The girl sobs, wailing about the missing Mr. Flobby. Melanie places her hand atop the girl's head and promises that the girl then hands something to Melanie. It looks like the muddy handkerchief she used to wipe Mr. Flobby. She asks Melanie to wipe Mr. Flobby with it after you find him. The girl claims to have searched the village but cannot find her friend anywhere. Regardless, looking aimlessly outside the village would be a waste of time. You decide to collect more information in the village. The little orc child is engrossed in a fairy tale. The title reads, The Legend of the Dragon. You take a peek into the picture book and come across a passage that piques your interest. To where, you wonder, then recall that this is merely a fairy tale. The village headman is a renowned gourmet, and rumor has it he only dines on the finest foods. The man says he wishes he too could have such a lavish meal just once in his life. His deep desire for delicacies only growing with time. Wow, a new friend, and so big too. The Mar stares off into the distance as the furballs snuggle. For some reason, Ridis joins in on the cuddling. She says she saw a suspicious man in black with a slime outside the village not long ago. She claims they went northwest together. Did that man take Mr. Flobby? You resolve to leave the village in search of the pair. Don't hold back. Though a torch is not strictly necessary, it would certainly help you find your way through the dimly lit shrine. Your footing is obscured in the dimness of the shrine. You should probably proceed with caution. You go for— I think you made the right choice. You take a good look at the floor and see it lined in trails of viscous liquid. No doubt a slime or 200 have passed through here. It looks like poor Mr. Flobby is being held captive by the mystery man. Hand over that slime, you shout to them. You speak as if I kidnapped him, he remarks, curtly turning to face you. When your eyes finally adjust to the surrounding darkness, you realize the man's clothes look eerily similar to Melanie's. Melanie's mouth falls open and it seems the man has noticed Melanie as well. It looks like the two know each other. The man says that he and Melanie came from the same village, where this was their native dress. The man's revelation makes you realize that you know almost nothing about Melanie's past. You ask her if he is a childhood friend, but she holds her tongue. Then the man speaks. With forbidden magic, our clan has ensured the dragon, he begins. She rattles on about the man, telling you that he is Vince, a lunatic. Vince resentfully claims that he is searching for the noble dragon. You ran away from home with your tail between your legs, he ridicules. Enraged, Melanie lunges. You have so many questions, but realize that the most pressing matter is getting Mr. Flobby back. Careful, he won't go down easy. During the fight, Vince asks, "Do you know the truth about that village?" The headman may look like a nice old man, but he keeps those little monsters around too. He begins, but before Winifred, Hedwyn, and Berwyn of the Ivory Order appear. The three brush you aside, fixing their attention on Vince. "So you are the one who the Ivory Order and that false justice they serve are the true evil here," he retaliates, fighting back. Seeing the two parties occupied with each other, you realize this is your chance to grab Mr. Flobby. Perhaps wary of humans, Mr. Flobby dashes out when you draw near. When you reach out to grab Mr. Flobby, he suddenly lower Mr. Flobby's stamina to calm him down. Exhausted from the fight, the raging but it seems he hasn't yet come to his senses. He finds something to help return Mr. Flobby to normal. You wipe Mr. Flobby's mouth with the handkerchief you received from the girl. Then you hear a quiet voice speak. "That's not my mouth, Mr. Flobby." It looks like the girl's familiar scent on the handkerchief returned him. Having regained his senses, Mr. Flobby heads back to the village. You place the increasingly sticky handkerchief in your bag. Lappy approaches and tells you that Mr. Flobby has returned. The girl is ecstatic that "I'm happy for you," Melanie says with a smile. The girl bows her head and thanks you. Mr. Flobby looks as slimy as ever. The headman wants us to bring Mr. Flobby to him. Would you mind, you ask? Of course not. But bring him back soon, she answers with a bright smile. I am so happy to see you safe and sound. You explain everything that happened, including the incident with Vince and the... He expresses his relief that the order will be taken care. He then thanks you for your hard work and instructs his stewardess to prepare dinner for your party. You can feel your collective mouths watering at the sight of the lavish meal before you. Mar and Riddis immediately dig in. You aren't sure where you find a moment to breathe among all the feasting. Please, eat to your heart's content. Once your belly is full, you realize that Mr. Flobby is... Room for dessert? The headman asks, offering you a plate of slimy jelly. You feel the color strikes you as familiar, and the stickiness sends a shiver down your spine. Is this Mr. Flobby? You ask. The headman looks at you with a plain expression, one that holds no malice. This dish is a masterpiece, he remarks with a light-hearted chuckle and I have you brave heroes to thank for it. Had you not brought that slime back, we would not be able to enjoy this exquisite dessert. You move to leave, but the headman stops. I try to get my meat while it's still young and tender, but at least your pet is very plump. He points at Mar and asks, would you consider leaving that creature here with me? Never, you refuse flatly, not bothering to hide. Think about it, he entreats. You grab the headman by his lapels, hands trembling in fury. About the enemy. Pummel the headman with all your curled up on the ground. The headman groans in pain, but insists that you hug Mar tightly, reassuring him that Mar looks at you with his round eyes, and you meet eyes with the rest of your party and reach a tacit agreement. Together, you all stand and leave. As you are about to leave the headman's house, the old man suddenly charges at you but Mar, the keener of you two, is quick to block it with a crash. Mar and the headman tumble to the ground. From the headman's hand falls a small blade. It clatters to the ground, covered in blood. You take the injured Mar to an inn where you can watch over him. You gaze at the unconscious Mar with concern. Despite the shallow wound, no amount of medicine seems to rouse Mar from the bed. I heard that my friends were in danger, so I came as quickly as I could, Lappy. As he reaches Mar's bedside, he leans over it. This is what you call it extract, he shouts. He explains that it is a poison extracted from a certain monster. If it enters the body, it drastically... Hearing those words, you realize the headman's blade must have been coated in this poison. Isn't there anything we can do? Lappy's eyes widen in realization before he places his mouth over Mar's wound, and he then puts the what-you-call-it extract into a bottle and hands it to you. Lappy says that if you follow the road south of the village, you will reach Shoreland. He tells you to give the extract to the famous nutritionist there. Realizing that you are at fault for this, you don't hesitate to undertake the quest. But this is strange. The extract comes from a monster, so it should have no effect on one, Lappy remarks with a curious tilt of his head.